Today we're going to be making a doll room for Supergirl. So to start, I have some cardboard here. I'm going to cut it so the side here will be the bottom floor and this will be the wall. So I have 3 different pieces of cardboard cut out. This is for the floor. It's 14 by 11. And then here's the wall of the room. So this half is 15 by 11 and this half is 14 by 8, but as you can see it curves like this, so it's already pre-attached. So I'm going to hot glue this wall piece to the floor. So now that our walls and floor are glued together, I have this scrapbook paper I am going to glue onto the wall. For this part, I'll be using a glue stick instead of the hot glue. So now that we have the walls covered, I'm going to glue some poster board to the floor. And I'm going to use white so it brightens it up a little bit. So here's what that looks like so far. Our doll is going to need somewhere to sleep. I have this cardboard from packaging and it's pretty thick. It's about 13 inches long, so it's perfect for a doll. I then cut some little squares out that are about an inch each, that can be glued to the bottom of the bed so it can be a little bit higher. So we're gonna hot glue these to each corner of what's going to be our bed. So now that we have our little pegs glued on, there's some space underneath the bed. I have 3 different things of fabric and we're gonna make some bedding. Now we're gonna glue some white fabric to the cardboard. Here's what the sheet looks like on the bed. So I took some fabric the size of the bed and I sewed inside out across the long way and then the short side and left an opening at the top to fill it with a tiny bit of polyester fill and then sewed it across so that way it can be like a mattress topper for the bed. Now we're going to take this red fabric and make a comforter. So to make the doll comforter, you're going to take the blue fabric and the red fabric, cut it into squares, and then sew it good side to good side. So here's my 2 pieces of fabric. I'm going to sew straight down, and then we'll sew them together that way. And then we'll leave an opening so we can flip it. So now we have this comforter for the bed, which is reversible and can be flipped over to be blue or red. Let's make some pillows. So for the pillows, you can cut out whatever size squares you want of fabric. I did 2 white, 1 red, 1 blue, and then a red and blue that will go together so it's reversible. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your squares and you're going to sew it the short way, the long way. You'll leave this part open at the top, turn it right side, fill it with polyfill, and then sew it back together. So you'll start by sewing good side to good side for your fabric. So now we have the one side that's open, we'll flip it right side. So now that you have one side open, you want to fill it with the polyfill. And then you're going to sew this straight across. So now we have one long pillow, two white pillows, and a red and blue pillow, and our comforter. I have this piece of felt that's blue. I like the way it looks if I just fold it and put it at the end of the bed. It makes a nice bed skirt. I do think I'm going to expand the wall one more panel. So now I am going to take another piece of cardboard that is the same height as the other walls and add it to this end. First, I'm going to cut out a square for a window. Once you have the window cut out, take some clear plastic from leftover packaging, cut a square out for the window, and hot glue it on. I put the clear plastic on both sides. Now I'm going to take some strips of cardboard, glue it in white paper, and glue it onto here for the trim of the window. But before I do that, I think I'm going to cover this in scrapbook paper. So I covered the wall with scrapbook paper, and then I cut out 4 thin pieces of cardboard to go along the window. And now I'm going to glue these with a glue stick with white paper. Now we will glue the pieces down. Here is what it looks like so far with the window and the frame of the window. We're going to take a wooden dowel and cut it so we have a bar going across for a curtain rod. And then you're going to want 2 little pieces that go out and will connect to this. So you should have 3 wooden pieces like this. Now you're going to take some fabric. I'm using red. I'm going to cut it into 2 tiny halves for some curtains. Now with the fabric, you're going to want to fold it over a little bit at the top and sew right at the bottom so that way there's a gap and we can put the wooden dowel through. Now you're going to feed the long wooden dowel in through the curtain. Once you have your fabric on, go ahead and hot glue these little pieces to the back of the wooden dowel. So it should look like this. And the final step, you'll glue the wooden dowel, the shorter end, to the wall so it will be attached above the window. So here is a look at the room so far. Using more of the cardboard that is thick from the bed, I cut out 3 squares and 1 square of normal cardboard. I'm going to glue 2 squares to the side and then the last square on top for a little nightstand. But first, I'm going to cover it with some scrapbook paper. And here we have our little nightstand. So now that we have the room, I printed out some pictures. We're going to start with this picture of Crypto. Go ahead and cut out your picture, leaving some of the white around the edges. So now you have like a white border. Take some cardboard and glue your picture to the cardboard. Now that you have your picture on cardboard, take some more cardboard and cut out a triangle. Fold a side of your triangle so you have a shape like this. Then glue it like this to the back of your cardboard so you have a stand. Once that is glued, you have a picture frame. So now we're going to cut out our other pictures that were printed. Now take a piece of tape and fold it over so it's double-sided. Put it on the back of the poster. And put it on the wall. And now we have some posters on our walls. And with the tape, it makes it super easy to just take off and put the poster somewhere else if you change your mind of where you want it. And then we have our little picture frame of Crypto on our nightstand there. Now that our room is all done, I added the Mini Brands record player and a record below on the nightstand. Since we have some posters of bands and stuff like that, I think the record player fits in here well. Thank you for watching how to make a DIY Supergirl inspired room, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.